Ari, it's the season for grilling, and our friends at Minnesota Oncology have some tips for us on how to fire up the grill without risking our health. It can get a little tricky out there.
A little tricky. That's why we have Sarah Bartz. She's the dietitian for Minnesota Oncology. She's going to join us today with ways on how to enjoy the summer while keeping your health in mind. So good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, so this is really important. I know when a patient comes into Minnesota Oncology, obviously big things are going on in their lives.
Right.
How does a dietitian fit into what their protocol is at Minnesota Oncology?
Well, nutrition can be medicine, so we help them from the time they're diagnosed all the way till they have recovered, they're healing, and they're preventing anything in the future from recurring. And we can help them with identifying side effects and how to figure out how to eat differently.
Yeah.
So again, they're nourishing their body and having good quality of life.
Well, this is such a huge deal because a lot of times when you hear from cancer patients at other places, they will say, I asked my doctor, is there anything I can eat or drink to help prevent cancer? And they will say, their doctor said, no, it was kind of the luck of the draw. You guys are looking at it differently. That's amazing.
Yeah, at our clinics, we have certified specialists in oncology. There's 3 dietitians there, and there's maybe 8 or 9 in the state of Minnesota that are certified in specialty in oncology. So it's awesome for Minnesota Oncology.
That is huge. I'm so glad. I think historically there's been a disconnect between nutrition and health and the medical practice. I think that's all finally coming together because we all know the popular saying, food is medicine. And I think, and you guys are actually living proof that marriage can work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are sort of symbiotic in that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to grilling, we all love to grill. It's summertime. We want to be out at the grill, but I think we've always kind of heard there are some, whether they're myths or facts about the charring and the practice of it and the process of it. So how do we avoid some of those things, and what are we looking out for when we grill?
Absolutely. There are 2 different carcinogens you have to be concerned about. They're a little bit more problematic. One is when the protein has high temperature exposure and it causes that char that we just talked about. And the other one is when you have like a fattier meat and then the flare-ups and the smoke that comes up that adheres to the meat. Those are the 2 problematic areas that we have to be concerned about.
Wow.
Doesn't mean you can't grill though. We can absolutely still grill.
Yeah.
There's just ways to kind of reduce those risks.
Okay, so those are actual carcinogens then, what the charred part, and then what's flaring up from whatever you're using. Do you get concerned about like different types of charcoal, lighter fluid, things like that?
Yeah, you want to try to do like an indirect heat if you can.
Okay.
Because that will reduce the amount of high heat on your meat, causing that exposure. And then if you have leaner cuts of meat, it's not going to cause a lot of that smoke to come up. So you want to make sure that you're choosing things that are a little bit leaner. If you have a gas grill, you can use the inner part of the grill and turn the heat up on the outside, and then it'll be indirect.
Yeah.
Same with charcoal. But you can even get kind of char from using like a flat top too, so you just have to be careful.
Yeah, the flat top. We love the flat top.
I know. And that's is that across all meats? Are we talking about just red meats? Because you can have flare-ups with other, there's pork with a nice little fat cap on there that can have a flare-up when that fat renders down. So we're talking about that same practice and approach with all of our meats.
Well, and really more of those fattier meats. Red meat in particular has a different protein chain that can be a little bit different in terms of how it is digested, and it can actually cause more of a carcinogenic effect. You do want to eat less than 18 ounces of red meat and pork per week. The leaner meats like chicken, turkey, fish, they don't cook as long. So they're not going to have that same exposure to the high heat or the smoke. So it's a lot better that way.
Okay, that's interesting. Tell me about why marinating makes a difference in a good way. We were just talking about marinating yesterday with the Beef Council. Why do you love it?
Yeah, it tastes great. It also protects your meat from having those carcinogens develop.
No way.
And awesome part of marinating is you can use natural things like the herbs, like fruit, the acidic stuff, particularly garlic. They all have antioxidants and phytochemicals in them, which not only is good to help with prevention of some of those compounds that are more problematic, but it helps your body to not absorb as much of the carcinogens.
Cruciferous vegetables are another thing. I'm very into broccoli sprouts. You'd be very happy. I grow them in my kitchen because of the sulforaphane content, which is supposed to be so anti-cancer.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm approved.
Absolutely, and you want to make sure your broccoli is not completely done. You want to have a little bite in order to preserve that sulforaphane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you don't want
nice.
to cook it to be too much, but absolutely you want to have some kind of cruciferous vegetable. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, any of those things would be good.
Okay, I want to make sure that we get to this. You have a rule. It's an 80-20 rule. Now,
do.
that's not your blend for your hamburgers. That's for something else, right? So what does your 80-20 mean?
So 80% of the time nourish your body, 20% of the time nourish your soul. So if you are going to someone's camp out or grill out for that matter, and they have, for example, that first plate over there where you're having a hot dog, chips, and maybe some baked beans, maybe not the most nutritious thing ever, but it's okay to do sometimes. It's okay to do sometimes,
Yeah.
but you can make something better. So we have like the grilled pork there. We've cut off some of the char that's on the outside. You see the one that has the char over there.
Oh, that's a good
Yep.
idea. So just
Cut
cutting
it
off
off.
some of it.
Just cut it off.
Oh my gosh, you are a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for
No
being
problem.
here. So, and she brought her rosemary from her.
It smells
from
so
her
good.
house.
I
I really like it. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks for doing what
welcome.
you do. Appreciate it. All right, to learn more about cancer treatments and providers, Minnesota Oncology is the Twin Cities' largest and only independent cancer care provider with more than 100 experts in 13 locations. You can learn more at twincitieslive.com. We'll be back right after this.